You might have visited YouTube. Well, right now you are on YouTube because you're watching my video. But do you know where these videos come from? Or how a person uploads a video and, like, for example, update a video or delete a video? We use an API. And you might have heard of APIs, REST APIs, but you might not know what that means. So this video is on APIs, how we create them. We can use a framework called Express. We're going to create one in this video. It's a simple one, but it's actually worth the explanation. And let's get started. So to get started, let's go through this presentation. What is an API? An API stands for Application Programming Interface. It's just an application that's written in some programming language like Python, JavaScript, Java, anything you know. So we can tell it as an application which helps another application. It might sound a bit confusing, but that's what an API is. For example, you have this front end of an application, maybe it's a blog application, and the user wants to get all the posts from a particular user, another user. So what this front end does is it makes a request to this API, which is right here, and this API queries the database, returns the data, and what the API does is it sends back a response. So this front-end app sends a request to the API. The API sends back a response of a JSON object with all the information. So that's what an API does. Now, you might have heard of the term REST API. Are all APIs REST APIs? Well, no. The REST API is a kind of API which follows the REST architecture. So the REST architecture is an architecture which has some rules, which use different HTTP methods instead of doing different kind of routes. And REST stands for Representational State Transfer. So that's what that is. And in this video, as I showed you, we are going to create an API. We'll be using Node and Express. And you must have Node.js installed. You'll also be using this tool called Postman, which is awesome for testing APIs. It comes with a lot of extra features which we can use. And so let's go into the next part. So next we're going to discuss about HTTP methods. This is also a very important part of creating your APIs. So if you don't understand, it's also no problem because I'm going to show it to you practically when we are creating the project. But still, I'm just going to explain these to you. So for example, there's this same example we're going to take. There's this blogging application, and this person who's not logged in, or he can be logged in, wants to get the posts of another user. So this front-end app is going to make an HTTP request to this API. This API is going to query the database, get all the posts, and this API is going to return back all the information to the client as a response. So it's very important to understand that the front end makes a request and the API gives a response. So the API has control of the request and the response. So get is used to get data. Next is post. So post is used to create data. For example, this person wants to create a new post. He's logged in now, and he can go ahead, fill a form, hit the submit button, and what the front end does is it's gonna send an HTTP request to the API. This API is gonna create a post in the database, send back a response of 201 HTTP status. Yeah, you might have seen 404 like page not found. Just like that, 201 is another HTTP status code, and it's like created. So when you send a post request, it sends back the created data. So the next is put. Put and patch almost have the same functionality. There's just a small difference between that. So what happens is that, for example, this person now has written a blog post. He made a typo in there. So what he does is it goes ahead and updates the post. In order to update the post, you have to go fill the form. And once you fill the form, you're gonna hit the submit button again. And what this time this front end does is it's not gonna go ahead and do a put request. I mean, not a post request, because it's not creating a new thing. It's updating a thing which already exists. So we are gonna use a put request or a patch request, which just changes some data which is already there in a resource. Last but not least, delete. Of course, there are more, but according to here in this list. So delete is just gonna delete as it tells. So if, for example, this person wants to delete the post, he makes a delete request to the API, and the API is like, okay, deleted, go back home. So you go back to the home page and the resource is deleted. Next is our JSON. So when we send and receive data, we're going to use JSON with APIs. So mostly we use JSON. We can also have other options like XML, which is a great option. In this video, we're going to send and receive data in JSON. This is just some example, and this is what we're going to get the response as from our API also. This is just an example of the application which you're going to build. So we send data like this, and we get back a data with some ID and other information. So it's actually a simple application which we're going to build, as I told. And JSON is standing for JavaScript Object Notation. It would be good if you know it. Doesn't matter if you don't. It's simple to understand. And yeah, let's get started with our application. So to get started, we're gonna initialize our project with npm. So we're gonna enter the command npm init. It's gonna ask you a few questions that we have to answer. So REST API demo version 1, a simple REST API. REST API. We're gonna use app.js, which is the recommended name for our file. So when you're using Express, we mostly name our main file app.js. Leave that. Now get repository, keywords. Author is, you can type in your own name. License, just leave it like that. Yep, it's okay. Next, if you look at this file, we have all the information. This is our package.json file. It is required for us to install any other packages like Express, which is what we're going to do right now. So we're gonna run the command npm install express. Hit enter, and Express is going to be added to our project. If you wait for a few seconds, you'll be seeing a folder called node_modules popping up in here, which you saw right now. And by the time, let's create our application. So let's create a file called app.js, and we also named app.js in here. It's our main file. So the first thing we must do in here is to bring in Express. To do that, we write in const express equals require express. So what this does, it's creating a variable called express, and it's requiring the express package we install. So if you go to node_modules, you'll find express in there, and you'll find index.js, which points to lib/express. So this file right here. So when we import this, what Node is doing is it's gonna go search for that in this express.js file and bring all the features of this file onto our application. It's pretty simple. Next, we're gonna create our application. So to do that, we do const app equals express, and we put in some parentheses. So this is a function which is provided by Express. You can just call it by Express, no other function, no other like express.app or nothing like that. Express, which we imported, is just called as a function right here. It's very simple. It just creates an application, which is our API in this case. Next, we want our application to listen on a specific port. So to do that, we're going to do app.listen, which is a function on this app object which comes from the Express function, and we're going to make it listen on port 3000 as I showed in the demo. So when we go to the URL http://localhost 3000 / we're gonna get our application. Now a convenient thing we can do is to call callback function right here and log in. Oops, let's just log in, maybe API running. So what that does is whenever we go to the URL, or when we start our server, it's gonna log this in our console. So I'll just show it to you as an example. You can do node app or app.js, and it shows API running. That's because this has started. But now if you make a request, it's just gonna fail because we have not given a route for our application. So I'm just gonna quit this and create a route here. So app.get / so / means the home route. Whenever you go to Google, for example, you do google.com, hit enter, but you might see that your browser puts a / at the end. That's because you're going to the home route. So that's what's happening right here. For example, we are not going to use the home route. We're going to use the route called /people. So you'll understand that more at that time. So we use this arrow function, and we're going to take in 2 parameters for this function. We're going to do request and response. So the request is what the front end or the application we are using sends us, and the response is what we give back. So in our case, we're using Postman. We could implement the same API. The same thing can be used with a front end like React, Vue, Angular, whatever you're using. So what we want is to send the data hello world exclamation. So whenever we go to this URL on our browser or on a Postman, or when we send the request, we are gonna get back hello world. So let's start. But the thing is that if you start with Node, every time you make a change, you should restart your server. Otherwise, like, you should Control C, again run the command, and it's like a bit tough for us. So we're gonna use this package called nodemon. But if you don't have it installed, you can do npm install -g for making global, and you can run nodemon. But for now, I have already installed this, so I'm just going to do nodemon app.js or app, and it shows us API running. So let's actually test this out in Postman. So I've launched into Postman right here. If you don't have it, go ahead and install it. It's free, and you're gonna type in the URL that we wrote down in here. So it's http://localhost 3000. Now hopefully, if we send the request, we should get back the text which we wrote here, hello world. Let's send, and yeah, there you go, we get hello world. So that's the first part of our API. It's not going to do much things because it's just sending back a response. Now let's get into our application right now. So this is just gonna be home, because we're not gonna do much in the slash route. We're gonna create a new route called /people. So you're gonna do app.get /people, and we want to have a request and response, and you can send that right here. So now if you go back, what we are actually implementing is, if you go to people and hit enter or hit the send button, what should we get back? Right now we don't have anything. Let's just do a rest.send people route, or route if you prefer calling it that way. So now if we send, we get people route. That's because we're going to /people, and notice that we're sending a get request here, and we are sending a get request here also. We are receiving that. If we make this a post request and send, we will get an error because we cannot get that. So you can see we cannot get /people. But if we make this get to a post request and send, it's going to people route, just like that. Simple. Anyways, so what we want is not to send this string, we want to send JSON. So first I'm just going to create our people array. So it's going to be const people equals that. So we're going to have people in here, and instead of sending this text, we're going to do rest.json, which is an express function which helps us send back JSON data, and we're sending our people. So currently there are no people, so when we return, we should just get an empty array. And we get that. We don't have people now. For example, I could just have some people in here, maybe name, should have more people. Could have like that, and then if you return right now and send, get back the people. Awesome. And you can see that it's in JSON, so all these codes are added to our keys in here like this. That's not how JavaScript works, you know. So I'm just going to remove all this for now, and we're going to add it with the help of the post HTTP method. So we're going to create a new one, app.post this time, because we want to post to /people. So if a person makes a post request to this route, we are going to create something new. So we can do request response. I'm used to this now. And we can now create a new person. So we're just gonna get the person that we want to send. And for doing that, we specify the body right here. So we choose raw, and from this text drop down, we're gonna use JSON. So we can do like this and enter some JSON, for example, name, and you do like that. And what we want is when we hit the send button, if it's a post request, we want a person to be created. So for doing that, we must enable something called the expressjs. So this is the rest.json for a response, and we are using this one called express.json, which helps us to parse these body data that we sent. So we're going to use this new middleware, which is like something that intercepts your route. So we're going to do app.use. So we're using a middleware, and we want to use express.json. So express.json. So we're using this express variable from this one. We're not using app, we're using express in here, express.json. Now what happens is if you send this response, the application will be able to read what you sent in the body. So now let's try to log the data. First, let's send a response. So rest.send hi, just for not getting any errors. So we can just log the request, which is this object right here, dot body. So that gives us what all we sent, the data that we're sending through Postman in here. So if we send now, we will get hi, which we do. And if you look in our console right now, you will see the data which we sent from there. So the name of Nasil and age of 13, which is what we sent here. But it's converted to a JavaScript object and it's no more JSON, but still, that's what we get. That's cool. So we can now create an object, a person. So to do that, we're going to do person.push, and we're pushing an object, and the object is going to have a name of the request.body.name, because we saw that we could access that right here. So it's just an object inside that. And we can also have the age as age to rec.body.age. So we use this body thing in here to send data to our server. I already told the example of creating a blog post. So with that too, you are actually the front end is sending some body data to the server, so that the server, the Express application or the API, can get the data from the request. That's what we're doing here also. So, oh, I made this permission request. That was just a problem. So let's change the people.push, and let's send back in JSON, and we want to send back the people. So people. So once we push, we just create a new item, and let's see if that works. So let's try sending it, and we get back the people. Awesome. Now if we create a get request, which means we don't need a body, we're just getting the people we have right now, we get the same people. And let's create a post request again. Let's create a new person. So let's create ABC and make it like maybe 50. ABS doesn't matter. If we send, we get this new person. And if we create a get request now, you can see that we are getting all the people. How much are we sent? It's gonna happen. But if we quit our server and start it again, it's not gonna persist because we're not using a database. So if we send it again, it's just an empty array. So we have to just create a new person. ABS, what doesn't matter. And now if it's gonna get request, you can understand that we are getting the object. So actually, that was it for this video. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, share it with your friends. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.